What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Real Estate Uncensored. It's just me, Matt Johnson, with Jeff Cohn here. Greg is unable to make it. This is a little bit of an unusual recording. We have fewer people. We don't have 4 people on. It's not a live episode. It's just me and Jeff. We're going to dig into some stuff here that's really going to be helpful to you at a couple of different stages. Number one, if you're brand new. Number two, if you've been in the game and you feel like you've essentially lived the first year of your real estate career over and over and over again, we're hopefully going to give you a completely different perspective and some different things to think about, because Jeff's mission has really morphed and changed over the years. And I want to start off with that into something a little bit different, rather than just helping agents sell more homes, which seems to be the generic mission of any broker or real estate trainer out there. So I want to start there. So first of all, Jeff, officially welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Matt Johnson. I appreciate it. He said just twice and hopes that we're going to do something. You guys, your faces are going to get melted. The great thing about not having Greg here is we are going to talk about him behind his back a little bit, and he deserves it. Anything negative we can send to him, he deserves it 100%. I've loved watching him during COVID and everything going on. He was like hiking on a mountain a week ago. He's constantly doing these really fun things. I haven't gotten an invite yet. Matt, you're probably out there with him in the hills of San Francisco. I don't know.
Sadly, he's very far away from me, so I have to walk my own beat over on Mission Bay in San Diego. It's terrible. It's terrible, but I endure it. I endure it
for the,
did get
kicked
for the
off
fans.
A park bench.
I have been kicked off the beach twice. Thanks to California's awesome COVID rules, which we later found out made absolutely no difference, because the beaches are the best place to be during COVID. So anyway,
I just got back from Santa Monica. Side note, sorry guys, you're gonna have some fun today, and there is gonna be some serious content, so don't leave. But I was on the pier in Santa Monica without a mask on last weekend, and I don't know when this is gonna air, but this was in the first quarter pretty much of 2021. And a police officer approached me and said, "Sir, you have to have your mask on the pier."
Outside on the pier?
On the pier. There was no one around, and I laughed. I thought he was joking. And I laughed. He's like, "No, I'm not joking." I was like, wow, you guys all need to calm down. So for the 50% of the audience that I now just lost because you wear your mask on a pier, you can go ahead and shut this recording off and listen to the next one. You'll like it better, probably. Everyone else, stick around. You're going to have a fun time.
Yeah, you're going to have a blast. Exactly. Oh, my gosh. Okay. So let's talk about just how your mission has changed. So you made a reference before we hit record that you're trying to get agents to think differently and maybe even set themselves up to just flat out not be selling homes 3 years from now, 5 years from now. What do you mean by that?
I mean, Matt, when you and I met first, I had started to establish a dominant team in Omaha, Nebraska. It grew to be the #1 team in the world at Berkshire Hathaway in 2018, awarded in 2019. You can look that up on Fox Business News if you don't believe me. We had someone.
I was going to say, it's just for anyone
that
somebody commented on that because they got the years wrong and they didn't realize Jeff was talking about 2018. It was a hilarious interchange, and they were wrong, and Jeff, you were right.
Fox Business News. I mean, they might not have their facts straight, but you can go check that out. Anyways. I've always wanted to become the best version of myself. And while selling real estate, that meant helping people the best I could. And that's probably a lot of people listening today. And that's honorable. That's awesome. The thing that happened for me in my personal business was I was making more money than I ever dreamed of, but I was also working more hours than I ever dreamt I would have to work. And so I wanted to do things a different way. And I could have worked half the hours and maybe half the profit, but I wanted to build a business that I could walk away from in retirement, which for me was going to be maybe in my 50s or 60s. I really didn't have an idea. I just knew I liked the ideology around being able to step out of selling real estate and focus on helping others sell real estate, which is owning a business and following my entrepreneurial heart. That happened a lot faster than I expected. I launched my team in 2011. And then in 2014, I actually stopped selling 100%. So in 3 years, I went from being a rainmaker agent, selling real estate, building the team, launching a title company, launching a call center in the Philippines, launching an insurance company, and then fully being able to step out of selling in 2014. And we grew continually from there. So I'm still saying, and no one's challenged this yet, we're the fastest growing real estate team in history. We went from 70 to 700 unit sales in just 6 years. And we were able to do all of this because I was obsessive, just like you guys having your podcast. Matt, you and I have listened to thousands of podcasts. I continue to listen and create my own podcast episodes because the difference between you and me and our listeners is the podcasts we listen to, the books that we read, and the people we meet with. So today, and this hasn't been different for the last couple of years, I get on stages, including podcasts. And my challenge to everyone listening today is that you think about your exit strategy, be it 3 years from now or 30 years from now, but it can be a lot sooner than you may expect. And my story was I thought it'd be 30 years and it took 3 years by implementing some very simple things into my business, which were partially a plan, an exit strategy plan put into place much, much earlier than I probably had to, because I wanted to make sure I wasn't working 80 hours a week when I was, getting ready to retire.
Yeah, and you and I are both looking at the same landscape of agents, and honestly, like I think that there could potentially be some. This is controversial, but I think that there could be something, even an app or a service, that could come along and really disrupt the consumer experience and take the agent out of some of it, like to the detriment of agents, and to the point where it decimates the ranks of agents and leaves really the ones that are productive, the ones that are the rainmakers, and it could potentially leave a lot of other people behind and out in the cold. And I want people to be aware of that, prepared for that, and so let's go through some of the options. Obviously, you're looking at it going. Mm-hmm.
As a challenge to the listeners, just for a second, pretend for the next 10 seconds that tomorrow Zillow announces a company arm called "We're putting residential real estate agents out of business." And their whole model was you could call off the listing on the Zillow website. A paid person is going to get paid $10, who's a licensed realtor, to open the door. You then do the negotiation and contracts all online. If you need help, you call that paid person. They get $10 a phone call, and there's no real estate commission. The commissions are gone. What business would you then go into? What's the next thing? So as everyone kind of thinks, oh, well, then naturally I'd go build houses with my uncle, or I'd go work for the title company I already have some ownership in, or whatever. There's still going to need to be, you were asking the question of what would the businesses be? If you're looking at businesses that run parallel to real estate, there still will be a mortgage. There still will be an insurance policy. There still will be a title company. You still will have the ability to buy, hold, buy, flip, buy wholesale, residential real estate. Those are a few. I mean, of course, the sky's the limit as to how far we want to take this, but those are all businesses I was looking at 5 years ago. And I thought, hey, this would be an awesome exit strategy to have some, first it was MSA agreements, marketing service agreements with those entities. And then slowly, as I was creating so much value for them, it was, hey, I'm going to have ownership in these entities. And today we're not only in Nebraska, we've expanded all of the businesses I just said all across the country. And so the sky's the limit, right? As far as how far somebody wants to take it. So I don't know which one of those you want to.
Well, we can go down a lot of different tracks. I want to talk about the hamster wheel right now, in terms of, the folks that feel like they've kind of lived the same year in real estate over and over again. You've never really had, it's interesting because you had maybe a few years where you could say you had that between, what was it, 2007 when you first got in, and 2011 when you started your team. You were in the same role of the high producing kind of rainmaker agent, where every year you start at zero. And so you know what that feels like. And I think agents underestimate that. Yeah.
Yeah, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011.
Oh, 14 is when when you officially step back from selling. Yeah.
Correct. But I work smarter and harder every year.
Yes.
This is my problem, is I have an addictive personality. So every time I found a new niche, I went after it. I had other people paying for a lot of the leads. I was doing it all because I wanted to figure out what worked. And that's why we launched a coaching company in 2017, Elite Real Estate Systems, which I obviously have their stuff on. And Matt, you were part of that foundation in the beginning and helped launch. And we started the podcast in 15 and didn't monetize it at all. But the point is, we started all that because we knew so much more than the average real estate agent and trainer, because we had done everything. We had tried everything, and everything works. This is the fascinating part. People say, what's the best lead source, or what's the best thing to spend money on if I want to do print, or what's the best ancillary business? It's the one you're willing to do. It's the thing you're willing to do and figure out and work behind. It's the place where you're going to put energy. I was on a podcast recently with a brokerage that was interviewing me, and a gentleman in the brokerage said, hey, I've been generating a lot of leads off Facebook ads, but I can't seem to have any success converting them. Are you guys converting Facebook leads? And my response was, share with us the process that you're following to convert the Facebook leads. And he stared at me, and I said, what are you doing to follow up with the leads? What is your process? He said, oh, I call, I leave a voicemail, I shoot an email out, and I text them. And I said, you do that all the first day? And he said, yeah. And I go, that's a great start. What do you do after that? And again, he just stared at me, and I said, what do you do after? What's your process? He said, nothing. I wait for them to get back to me. And I said, there's your problem. Right. And so everyone will come up with people will spend 99% of their energy convincing themselves and others that something doesn't work. If you flip that around and put 99% of your energy convincing yourself and others that what you're doing will work, I promise it will. And so I share with people from a mindset standpoint, do the thing that you're most passionate about, the thing that brings you happiness, the thing that, like, when you walk out of the door, out of the room, or you get home to talk to your significant other about how your day went, you're jacked, you're excited, you're not depleted, you're not low energy because of it. It's something you want to go back to every day. The challenge with me, and Matt, I think you probably are in the same camp, is I get bored really quickly. So I'll be passionate about one thing and then the passion starts to go away, and that's okay. But you need to find someone else to run with your passion that you can hand something off to. And that's leverage. And so I didn't want to be an agent selling my whole life running on a hamster wheel. I knew eventually one day I wanted to hand that over to someone else. And the beauty behind that is I gave other people the opportunity to be able to take from the industry the way I took from it, in the sense that it fed me, housed me, and clothed me. And I was able to share all of my expertise, but it wasn't just with 2 or 3 people, because we launched the podcast and the training platform. It was with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, which that excites me to know that I was able to learn, fail forward, leverage, and then be able to now go and help other people and be on podcasts like this.
Yeah, and you mentioned something, just the process of people don't understand leverage. They don't understand the principle of firing yourself, because most agents they don't know that you can think of real estate like an entrepreneur. And you mentioned, right now we still have the opportunity where there's a lot of different things and different ways that you can structure a business. And it's partially because the commission structure. There's a lot of margin in real estate, which means you can structure, there's a whole lot of different options to structure a business. We may not always have all those options. So get into it while the getting is good, while the margins are big enough to where you can really run almost any type of team structure that you want, and any of those options will be profitable.
Yeah.
That may not always be the case. Like if you look at a bunch of other industries, you don't have the freedom that we have in real estate. The margins aren't there. There's only a couple of business models that work, and even those aren't super profitable. Look at grocery stores, look at insurance companies, 1% to 2% profit margin. They really can operate only one way, because the margins are so razor thin. We may get to real estate being closer to that, but right now it's a wild, wild west. So take advantage of it. Let's talk about firing yourself a little bit. The first opportunity you took to fire yourself was when you hired your transaction coordinator, right?
Yep. So go out. Anyone that wants a free download, jeffsbusinessplan.com is literally the roadmap. Matt, I think you might have even created this PDF 5 years ago, because it's the same one I use. It's my roadmap.
If it's the same one, yeah.
It's the same one. 2000, when we might have touched it up a little bit, but from 2011 to 2017, we ended up doing, 750 sides. Well, that doesn't just happen overnight. And a lot of people think that just happens because you hire agents. It's a lot more than that. A business doesn't become successful. It'd be like saying a Chick-fil-A is successful because it hires tellers to go sell chicken sandwiches. Like Chick-fil-A is successful for a lot of other reasons. And of course they have to have great people that, do customer service and all of that. So we created the roadmap. First hire. So mathematically, I want to share with everyone the idea behind what they're worth. We each get to choose how much money we make a year. And we get to choose because we get to define what our cost is. When you go see a doctor or a massage therapist or a dentist or anyone, they're getting paid an hourly fee. They're getting paid a certain dollar amount for the service they offer. Real estate agents don't think about that way. And so an easy way to run the math on it, and I like to use a 6-figure income, is if you want to make $100,000 a year and you're going to work 40-hour weeks, which I don't know who gets the chance to only work 40 hours a week, but let's assume you do, even though you have 126 hours awake if you sleep 7 hours a night. So you work 40-hour work weeks. You want to make 6 figures. What is that worth per hour? And no one's going to do the math.
Is it $50 an hour, right?
Yep, Matt knows. Yeah. So it's $50 an hour. So if someone was going to ask you to go help them move and they wanted to pay you, or they were going to ask you to do another service for them, what are you worth? Well, you proved the year before you're worth 50 an hour. The interesting thing about this mindset is right now today, for those that did make 100,000 or 50,000, and now you're worth 25 an hour, however it breaks down, are there activities you're doing that are worth less than what you earn per hour? So I made 96,000 net in Omaha, Nebraska when I was 23 years old in 2006. That was my first year. And I was doing my paperwork. I was doing my marketing. I was doing all the back office stuff. I was running signs. I was running lock boxes. I was doing listing presentations. I was doing it all, just like a lot of people listening right now. And I challenged myself with the question that if I could replace myself with the lower income producing activities and use the time I freed up for higher income producing activities, not golfing, unless it was with billionaires, would I end up net with a larger income the next year, meaning I'd make more per hour the next year. And that's what I did. So to your point, I hired a full-time transaction coordinator, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, doing all my paperwork so I could get my commission checks. And I was that person notorious for leaving like 9 commission checks with the admin staff until, they stack up and the admin are super upset that they don't have an estimated cost sheet. And then my admin would have to run behind me and get it all taken care of. So my next year, I ended up selling about 62 houses. I had done like 40, 45 deals my first year, increased my sales, but I increased a lot of other things. My price point, I started working smarter, not harder. And I was able to quickly hire an operations person, which was the second hire, someone that ran all the back office. That was Kevin in the hire with Kevin.
Right. And that helped you. Yeah. Kevin was able to jump in and help with your marketing experiments. Like way more. We're not talking about a transaction coordinator. That was handled already.
Nope.
We're talking about high level operations.
Yep. Operations. Yeah. He was more like a CFO, COO role. He would run all the back office. So like once your team starts to establish, you're going to have a CRM place you keep all your data. He managed that. I wanted to have strong analytics to back up where I was spending my money from a marketing spend standpoint. So we could track our key performance indicators and our return on investment, and more importantly, our return on time. But I kind of became obsessive about this. So I was hiring someone at the time, I was mowing the lawn myself at the time I hired that full-time admin position. And so remember the number, 96 grand. I hired someone for $30,000 a year. She was working about 25, 30 hours a week on my admin stuff. So I took a step backwards of $30,000. So now the question was, if she was working 20 hours replacing those activities, can I make more than the $20 an hour that I'm paying her? And am I going to choose to put the time towards that? So I started implementing that same strategy with other things. So like, am I going to keep washing my car, or do I drive it through a gas station car wash for $10? Am I going to mow my own lawn and shovel my own snow? Or am I going to hire someone else? As long as I replaced the time I was saving with activities that were higher income producing, it became this experiment where I could prove to myself I was worth more per hour. So one interesting question is, what do you think you're worth per hour? What do you think you're worth net per year? And the interesting answer is, you're worth exactly what you made last year. And if you were worth any more, you would have made more.
Right.
And that is a hard fact for people to accept.
Yes.
If you were worth more, you would have made more. Guess what? A brain surgeon last year that made $2 million. What are they worth if they move to another city to be a brain surgeon? $2 million. They're worth what they made. I mean, look at houses, look at the market, look at anything of value. You're worth what you did last year. So if you want to be worth more, what's the solution? You've been brainwashed to sell more houses. Right. That's how you win. Go sell more houses. Well, who truly wins in that equation? Your broker, your team leader, all the other people out there, the mortgage companies, the title companies, the insurance companies, the home inspection, home warranty. Every other business gets to take a little bite off of all of that. And they own a company that's growing and scaling because you're giving them leads. What do you have that's going to grow and scale without you being necessary?
Yeah, most agents never have that. And most agents don't think about that. Once you start thinking about that, then you can look at what your options are. And you kind of laid out some of those already. But yeah, you're 100% right. The brokers are training the agents to where the only path to success is to sell more, which essentially just keeps them on the hamster wheel.
Look at how they reward people. Matt Johnson, #1 mini mega team with 6 agents and 1 admin. He's amazing. Fist bump, fist bump. We were going to put trophies, and we had Berkshire Hathaway across the country put signs in their agents' yards that says a VIP top realtor lives here. Think of a doctor, dentist, attorney had little trophy signs in the yards for participating inside the company that said a VIP doctor lives here. It's an embarrassment to the industry. And we wonder why we're ranked below used car salespeople. We don't need to put signs in people's yards, you guys, congratulating ourselves for doing our job. It's like when a professional athlete catches a ball and scores a touchdown and is doing flips and all this craziness. I've always said, you just did your job. Like, calm down. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. Good job. That's how I feel about all of your success in real estate, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
Oh my gosh. But yes, there is a concerted, I don't know, concerted efforts, maybe a strong word, but it's definitely the prevailing mentality in real estate is, look, the brokers are the brokers, the agents are the agents. It's like management and labor. They're never the twain shall meet. They're 2 separate classes. And if you're a broker, then maybe we'll give you some opportunities to get into investment, and you're expected to think like more of a business owner and an entrepreneur. But if you're an agent, there is definitely a pushback in the industry, not from folks like you and Greg Harrelson and folks like that, But in general, there's a pushback against agents thinking entrepreneurially because brokers look at it as an immediate
Usually.
cut to their paycheck.
Yeah, scarcity mindset. Here is my ploy to those listening. If you're a broker and if you're an agent aspiring to become a broker, how about this? Why don't you create a brokerage where you teach agents to become business owners? A brokerage where you teach agents how to be entrepreneurs, how to look at a profit and loss statement. I've never had a broker provide me with a P&L. I've never had a broker provide me with a sheet that shows all my transactions and my net take home. I've never had a broker sit down with me to talk about return on investment, return on time, key performance indicators, a 1 hour work week, time blocking, any of these topics that are going to help me become a better version of myself. I truly feel, and it's a little bit sadistic to say, I think they wanted me to be a hamster on their wheel. I think that had they wanted me to become a better version of myself, they would have shared with me the knowledge necessary to take my business to the next level. And so I said earlier on the podcast, I hope you guys heard, the difference between you and me are the books you read, the podcasts you listen to, and the people you choose to mastermind with, right? So if you want to earn more money, back to that whole idea behind how much do you think you're worth, you're not going to do it by selling more homes. You're going to do it by listening to more podcasts, reading more books, masterminding with more people, and getting smarter, not working harder. And you're going to build a system inside your business that you are passionate about that allows you to exit the things you're not passionate about, but put someone there to replace you and be able to create residual income and have a business that's going to grow without you being necessary. And for all those that have already shut off their ears and they say they don't want to do that, congratulations. You've just defined the earnings you're going to have the rest of your life. And that's okay if you're good with it.
If you choose that, if that's what you decide you want.
If that's what you want and you're like, you know what, Jeff Cohn's out of his mind. I'm making $243 a year and living in San Diego. I've got an awesome condo on the beach. My life's great. Congratulations. You did it. You did something I have not done. I'm not even close to being done yet. But the thing I would say is what you're doing that I feel like you could do better is helping create impact and influence in the lives of others. And there's so many agents, Matt, to your point of the traditional broker who has a scarcity mindset. There's a lot of realtors that have it too. They think they have something special that no one else knows about. So they're going to hide it and it's their little niche. No offense. Everyone already knows you're not doing anything special. There's really no new ideas. Go YouTube your special idea. There's gonna be 100 other people that already thought of it. The reason you're unique is you're implementing it. But the thing that's even more unique is helping other people achieve that special sauce, helping other people become a better version of themselves. And if you can do that inside your world, then you have mastered entrepreneurship. If you can give people opportunity inside your world and help them become a better version of themselves and even exit the business, not only exit it, teach them to exit it. And every person at kwELITE, I've grown 500% in 12 months at a Keller Williams Market Center I launched last year with business partners. We grew from 30 agents to 150 agents in 12 months. Now, I don't know if any other brokerage has grown that fast. I'm guessing not. If you guys know of one that has, let me know about it. But the reason we've grown so much is people, not only do people believe it, they're experiencing all of this insane growth without having to be a cog in our wheel. We don't want them to be a cog in our wheel. We want to give them opportunities to own and operate their own business. So I would challenge those listening, look for a team leader, look for a broker owner, or become a team leader or a broker owner that helps those around them become the best version of themselves, not by selling more houses and learning better overcoming objection handling strategies, but by actually learning how to run a business. And if people in your world can't answer that, you need to go find a brokerage that can.
Yeah, love it. All right, I've got one more question for you. I want to talk about what you would do if you were starting over again right now in this market, younger. Let's go back in time. But before we do that, where do you want to send people to? We talked about jeffsbusinessplan.com, so you can get that. Obviously, you've got the Team Building Podcast, which people can look up. Anything coming up? Anything
so we have two big things. We host an event every May. I don't know when this thing launches, but if you're not going to make it this year, we have workshops, both virtual and in person, and then a yearly team building summit. We would love to invite people to attend any of those. To find out more about upcoming events, you just go to eliterealestatesystems.com, click on events. And then we also have 4 4K cameras wall mounted in our office with 12 mics that are in the office. Every one of our trainings is produced. We make our trainings available to anyone interested in partnering with us across any brokerage flag. And so an individual agent can get 8 hours of content a week for $97 a month. $97 is the cost of our coaching platform.
8 hours of content a week?
We now have 8 hours of content a week.
God, dude. Okay.
So you pick and choose what you want, right? Pick your path. We have agent training, investor training, dialogue training, team leader training. And then we have a high level team leader coaching and training that is normally $1,000 a month. But right now we're offering a special. It's 3 months off, 50% off. So for 3 months, you can try it out for $500 a month. It's month-to-month contracts. That's our flagship product, that team leader product, because it gives you unlimited seats for your agents, for those that have real estate teams with a handful of agents. So EliteRealEstateSystems.com to learn more about all of our team leader and individual agent products.
Cool. All right. Take me back. Let's say a young, spry Jeff Cohn, 25 years old, freshly licensed, 2021. What are you telling him to do?
Yeah. So I have an easy answer for this, and it's on my keynote presentation. I think the first year in agents in the business, they need to try everything and they need to track everything, because you have to find your path. Everyone's strong in different things. We all have different personalities. So one person might love open houses, while another person would sprint away from an open, where another person might love working internet leads and another person might sprint away from internet leads. So you have to find what you love. So don't let someone tell you this is how you do it. To your point earlier, Matt, there's thousands of ways to do it. There's not one right way while you're in production. But I would have a growth mindset. And there's a growth mindset in several different categories. One is the cost of lead acquisition. I didn't know early on that I could partner with mortgage companies, title companies, insurance companies, home inspection and home warranty. And I named those 5 because they're the highest paying. I could partner with them to buy me leads, and not only leads for myself, but leads for my team. So when you're doing enough deals and you're feeding these third-party companies that win by you sending them business, they'll write you a $500, write Boomtown or Google a $500 check every month, or a $10,000 check every month, depending on how many leads you're giving them, to buy your leads for you. Well, once you figure out whatever lead source you like, how to take that lead and hand it off to someone inside your world, they could be on your team or in your brokerage or across the street, it doesn't matter, and charge a referral fee. You've created what I call in business clarity, or flow in athletics. You know, if you run the numbers, how much money you have to spend to generate a lead, who you can place that lead with, what the lead conversion is on it, what the referral fee amount is that you collect, and then what your net take home is. And so your only limitation at the point in which you've created that ideology within your business is your ability to find agents that are willing to take the leads. And so this was exactly my story. In 2011, we figured out that it took $1 on a Google ad to get someone to come to our website, but it took 10 people clicking on that $1 ad to get one lead, one person to register. So that's $10 for a registered lead. It took 50 registered leads, which cost me $500, to get one converted lead. That's a 2% conversion ratio. If I generated 50 leads, I got one converted lead. In Omaha, Nebraska, at the time, my average sales price here was around $200,000. Our average commission take home at 3% was $6,000. The agent would get, the company would get $6,000. The agent would keep 50%. I'd keep 50%. So I would keep 3,000 less the 500. I netted $2,500, which is a 5x return. And I'm sorry to break the numbers down for those that hate hearing math. In a nutshell, I knew I had to generate 50 leads to convert one sale. And that sale made me $2,500 net. And I did nothing more than build the MSA agreements, the marketing service agreements, and have a platform that generated leads. I did Boomtown in 2011, and then recruited agents to work the leads, and then held them accountable and motivated them and trained them and gave them an office. And we had a moving truck and all these other things. So I'm speaking in jest, obviously, as if This is so easy, but you asked me what I'd do. If I started again, I'd figure out what I was passionate about. I'd find a lead source that I knew I could hand off to somebody else, plug somebody else into it. And I would work as quick as possible to get out of production. And my focus would be on helping other people that are in production until I got to a point where I was bored of doing that. And then I would start working on investing and maybe launching my own mortgage arm and insurance arm and all the things that I've obviously done. But you need to have the experience. I know so many brokers in this country who were given that title from their mommies and daddies who left them their company. And so they don't know what it's like to be in the trenches. They've never gone to battle. They've fought all of their wars from the war room and have never been boots on the ground. And so if I'm an agent, I'm going to ask myself, is the person leading me, had they ever been in the trench? Have they ever fought a battle? Or are they just reading about how to fight battles? They don't know what it feels like. Literally, I knew what it felt like, that if I didn't have my commission check, if I didn't close a house next month, I wasn't going to pay for my mortgage payment or my apartment rent. I wasn't going to be able to pay my insurance on my car. That was me. I was poor college student when I got my real estate license. I didn't know what it was like to have an extra $2,000 in my bank account. So I came from that. So to be able to come from that and now be where I am today, I have empathy. I have understanding of what it's like to be brand new and have every deal matter. Every closing mattered. Like I never walked away from a deal. I won't say the cuss word. I ate poop sandwiches so that I could put food on my family's table. That's kind of a weird segue, but it's true. You know, you had to put up with people. Now I just say, you know, I don't like you. I'm not going to work with you anymore. Have a nice day. And they're like, what? Come back. And that's the best place to be in, where you can pick and choose the clients you work with, just like doctors, dentists, attorneys. They get to pick who they want to work with. So I challenge everyone listening, you know, define what kind of life you want to live. That's first and foremost. And then how much money do you need to live that life? You don't need millions of dollars a year to live an amazing life. Most people probably, did you ever see, what is it, Office Space? There's the scene where he's like, I want $1 million. He's like, why do you want $1 million? He's like, I just want to do nothing. He goes, my cousin does nothing. He lives in his mom's basement and just sits and eats Cheetos all day or whatever. So I think sometimes we want to live this life because other people expect it of us. There's this social pressure to have a house or a car or do this thing. Forget all of that. Everyone take the time to look in themselves this weekend. Take like, maybe shut your phone off for an hour, and just think about like, what do you really want? And are you working in a way, in accordance to what you're passionate about and what you want to become? The beauty for me would be if people could leave the podcast today and go, you know what, I think I could live an amazing life for 50 grand a year, and I'm going to work smarter, not harder. And you only have to work 5-hour weeks, 5-hour work week. I mean, how amazing would that be? And then you can spend the rest of your time doing music or playing pickleball or playing with your kids, looking your spouse in the eyes and actually having good quality time with them. And there's so many of us that make excuses. So we're losing our life. It's passing by us. And we're telling ourselves this lie that we have to be in the office for 10 hours or we have to go on showings this weekend. You don't have to do anything. You can literally do nothing if you want to. The government will take care of you, especially in California. You don't have to do anything. The question is, what kind of life do you want? Do you want to be a person that takes from society, that takes from their family, that takes from their significant other, that eventually when you're in retirement takes from their children? Or do you want to become a type of person that can give to society, that can give to your children, that can give to their friends and family? I want to be a giver. I want freedom. That's what money is for me. It's just ones and zeros in a bank account, but what you can actually do with it is the power. And so I wish upon everyone listening that you think about, maybe after today, you think about real estate in a different way, and you challenge some of the traditional norms of the industry, and you start working for yourself to build an entrepreneurial venture that will bless the lives of others. Most importantly, the lives of those that are in your family with whom you can influence the most.
Couldn't have said it better than myself. That was a little bit different track than I expected us to go down, but you got ranty. I like it. All right, Jeff. Everybody should go and subscribe to the Team Building Podcast immediately, and then get introspective. Don't get introspective until after you go and subscribe to the podcast. Make sure to leave a 5-star review for the show, both for Jeff's and for ours. We really appreciate it. It gives the shows more exposure, more credibility, so that if agents stumble onto the show, they realize, hey, this is a show that people enjoy. And it just helps them take a chance on the show. And if you know that the Real Estate Uncensored or Jeff's show, if you know that podcasts like these have the potential to change other people's lives, which they do, then we really appreciate it if you shared it. That being said, Jeff, thank you as always. It's a blast talking to you. I have fun, and we'll talk.
Ranty.
Word
of the day. Ranty.
That's right.
Thank you, Matt. Always a pleasure. I appreciate being here with you today.
Right.
This was super fun.
Later, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.